one of the keepers here. You'll see a few of us around today, most of us at the moment are trying to swap the hose out over there, as you might have seen. He isn't doing his job very well. So, yeah, any questions, if you want to chat, please feel free. It's part of our job. We're more than happy to talk to you guys. You'll notice that there is a few developments going on at the moment. So we are building a new wolf enclosure ahead of their arrival, hopefully at the end of September, early October time. We're building a new lynx enclosure as well. There's even a hope that in the next year or two we'll be welcoming bears. So it means that there's plenty of things going on. For the most part, we're really happy, really excited. But it does mean that things are sometimes a little bit more messy than they should be, a little bit more noisy than they should be. So again, any questions, any queries, please feel free. This isn't the only talk today, of course. Some of you might have been at the off talk earlier on. At 3 o'clock we have a wolf. We don't. At 3 o'clock we've got a lynx talk, and at 3:30 we have a wolverine talk. Both of which are over in Wallaby Wood. If you've not seen Bodie yet today, our wolverine, he will be your new favourite animal. If you can't see him in his enclosure, he doesn't go inside very often, particularly during the summertime. So he'll be under his log. So if you haven't seen him, have a little look under his log. You'll see a little nostril sleep. So for the deer, these guys are what we call our friendly deer. We've got 3 species of deer here at the park, 2 of which are right in front of you. We also have some red deer as well. They're currently shut in their woodland area, but they'll be moving back into the front for you guys to see very, very soon. We just needed to access the paddock. And unfortunately, we've got a stag who's really quite grumpy, so we keep him out of the way where we can if we're going to go nearby. Now, these guys, we call them our friendly deer because they are friendly, first of all, but the reason they're friendly is actually a little bit more complex than just liking us. It's because they have been hand-reared, rescued, some of them have been born here as well. So they're very, very used to being around us. Now we do have a lot of rescues here, wild rescues I should say. It includes foxes, badgers, polecats, ferrets, hedgehogs, just to name a few, some owls as well. Hamish the pine marten, for example, who's currently going up for breeding season, which is why he's very excited to meet his girlfriend who lives just over there. So he's another rescue as well. And they are included in this. Now, for something like an owl, for example, for lack of better words, you can basically chuck them some food, make sure they're happy and healthy, and then release them when they are at a stage where we're confident they're going to be okay. Now, for something like a deer, it's a little bit different, and the reason for that is because very often the deer we get taken into our care are young. So we then take the role of mum in order to make sure that they grow up happy and healthy. Now when these deer are fawns, when they're babies, we have to be very hands-on. Sometimes we're feeding them as much as every 2 hours, overnight included. So inevitably they get brought up a little bit different to how a deer would be in the wild. They don't always learn these behaviours from us, they don't learn the instincts that they would be taught by their mum, because of course we're not there, we're humans. So whilst we do our best to release as many as we can, sometimes we keep them here to give them the best alternative instead, where we're not so confident they do very well in the wild. Now all of these deer, with the exception of one individual, are fallow deer. Fallow deer in the wild typically live in single-sex herds of up to about 40 individuals. Sometimes they can be as little as 20, sometimes they can be really, really high as well. Now whilst this herd is a fair bit smaller than that, you're still behaving exactly how you'd expect in the wild. Now some of you might spot a little bit of popping, for example. This is actually exactly what we'd expect to see from a herd which has an active hierarchy, or in this case there is a matriarch. So there's a single sex herd, and in this herd there'll be a leader. Generally speaking, it's the oldest, more experienced deer, and in this case it's the Shadow. So Shadow, I'll point out when I see her. Shadow is the bossiest basically. She's also the roundest as a result of that as well. She gets a little bit more food than the others. But she is the matriarch, she is the one in charge basically. Now these female leg groups will raise and have the young together, so only typically mix with the males when it comes to the breeding season. Now you may also hear our deer today. First of all, they do sneeze quite a lot. We have no explanation for this, other than the fact they are essentially hoovers in animal form. They try and pick up as much food as they possibly can. Inevitably, there's a little bit of dust involved in that as well. But more importantly, you will hear these girls squeak. Now, combined with sense, squeaking or vocalisation is how these guys will know who is who. It's how they will communicate with one another. So, being traditionally a prey animal, these deer will make sure they know what everyone is up to at all times and that everybody is safe. Shadow is this lady here. eating, obviously. Yeah, you'll hear them communicate via squeaking. They typically do this during breeding season and when there are young around as well. The mum knows where her baby is at all times. Now we do have the option to breed from these girls. We don't always choose to do so on the basis that we're not going to have offspring for no reason, as cute as they are. But sometimes we will do, particularly if there's an individual who is more experienced and older. They can be met with a little bit of stress if they aren't allowed to breed. Now, very conveniently here at the park, the breeding season for fallow deer often coincides with not only the quieter period, but also the muddiest period as well. So we can give these girls a nice change of scenery, we can allow our ground to rest as well, and we'll take these girls down to one of our back paddocks where we have another herd of deer, and in that herd is Apollo, and he essentially acts as the boyfriend to all of these girls. So he'll do his thing, they'll come back here normally about February time, and after a 7.5 month gestation period, they are born right here in Deer Encounter, typically June and July time. So if you visit us, we don't have any pregnant this year, but next year you'll be walking amongst fawns as well. So it's very, very cute. Now these girls are currently in their summer coats, just like us. Their coats get thinner at this time of year, so that they don't get so hot, but also their coats help reflect the environment that they're living in. Now during the summertime, hopefully this year's been alright, we get more sun, so the environment is generally lighter. Also the plants of course will change colour as well, so if you think about meadows, give it nice creams and browns, these coats reflect this really, really nicely. Even here in the woodland where their spots get a little bit brighter, they aren't covered by their nice winter coats. They really reflect the environment they're in. The nice shadows, the mosaic pattern you'll get on the floor. If you look at our backdrops, for example, these coats do an excellent job at blending these girls into their environment. Now in the winter time, essentially the opposite will happen. They'll get nice thick coats so they don't get so cold, but also their coats will get darker. Now we're all aware you get mud, you get leaves, you certainly get less sun, and so their coats again reflect the environment they're living in. Now, all deer will have, or most deer will have spots at some point during their lifespan. For red deer, for example, they only really have spots when they're born. For fallow deer, whilst their spots are still visible throughout their adult life, they too have much brighter spots when they're born as well. Now, most of you will be familiar with Bambi. Bambi, if we're being pedantic, is a North American deer, but the truth still remains that she too, when she was born, had much brighter spots as well. Now there is a reason for this. When fallow deer in particular are born, the same as some other species as well, they are essentially left behind. Now this sounds a little bit harsh, but as a herd animal and as a prey animal, the last thing mum wants is to have an individual tagging along who has absolutely no idea what they're doing and have no clue how to survive when they're out and about. So their alternative to this is to tuck them away somewhere safe. And these spots just mean that they'll blend in a little bit better to their environment when they're not having a watchful eye over them. The mum will be just round the corner, she'll be coming back to check on them. As the fawns get older and more independent, they will join the rest of the herd as well. Now this survival technique for the most part works really, really well, but there is a flaw as well. The reason why we often get young fawns brought into us here at the park is because deer as a whole are really commonly interfered with by us humans. Now because the offspring, because the fawns are left behind, it's really easy to mistake these animals for one which might be in need of some help, might be injured, might be sick. Now if we do come across them, it's their instinct to remain completely still. Sometimes they even hold their breath. If we are a predator, we're going to find these animals really, really easily if they're noisy, if they're moving around. Now very often if we think they're injured, unwell, that kind of thing, they're scooped up, they're brought to places like ourselves, and we can do our best to raise them and release them if they're older as well. But this isn't always the case. Because they're so orientated around scent, the moment we interact with these fawns, very often they will not be accepted by mum again. So when we have them in our care, we have to raise them ourselves. Now if you see an animal when you're out and about, the chances are it's absolutely fine. If you do have any legitimate queries, any worries, contact your relevant authority. If it's your resident vet, RSPCA, Heart Wildlife Foundation, anywhere like that, they will be able to tell you what to do. They may well end up in our care. Now we do have one individual who is worth introducing you to, and her name is Sola, and Sola is right here. Now she's very, very tame. She's also our lightest coloured deer and our only adult with a green ear tag. Now the reason why Sola is so tame is because she's an example of one of these deer that's been hand raised right from the start. Now we don't know why she was rescued. This wasn't anything that we helped with, but she came here as a mature individual to fit in with the rest of our herd. Now Sola was raised in somebody's back garden, and more importantly she was raised in the absence of any other deer as well. So for the most part she's sometimes more dog or human than she is deer. Now we love her, she's great, she tags along, she'll come over to you guys for a nice stroke. You are more than welcome to stroke our deer, just please don't feed them at all. But there is one flaw. She'd be absolutely useless out in the wild. She'll most likely approach the first person she comes across, and whilst you guys would be lovely to her, not everybody would be. So it's really important to remember that when you interact with these animals in the wild, sometimes you can hinder their chances of having that wild lifestyle, which we're always going to offer them if we can. Now here in the New Forest, we're quite lucky. We have there and thereabouts 5 of the 6 deer species found throughout the UK. Now of these 6 overall, only 2 of which are truly native, and that is the red deer and also the roe deer as well. Now, contrary to common belief, fallow deer are not actually native. They're what we call a They're what we call a naturalised species. And the reason for that is because here in the UK, the cut-off point we use for a native species is actually the end of the last ice age, about 20,000 years. Now fallow deer, they've been here about 900 years, it's still quite a long time. It's thought they've been introduced by the Normans, but not quite long enough to be a native species, so calling them naturalised means that they're more honorary natives instead. The animals, the environment, the ecosystem have adapted to their presence. So it means that the other 3 species in this country, the Chinese water deer, the muskrat deer and the sika deer, they are all what we consider invasive, because they're not naturally found in our environment and they've been introduced into our ecosystem within modern history and by us humans as well. Now Chinese water deer and muskrat deer, they all came from China, and sika deer came from Japan, which brings me to our odd one out, which in true fashion has wandered off somewhere, but that is Sappy, and she is our resident sika deer. Now sika deer have been here since about the 1700s, they're put in private collections, private menageries, they inevitably escape, which is why they can be found in our environment today. There are strongholds over in Dorset and Wareham. You can see them over at Bewley Manor Estate as well. There was about 100 there. But the fact remains they're not strictly native. Now Sappy was brought to us because she was hit by a car. She's actually one of our oldest resident deer. She's about 11 or 12 years old. But as a collection, as an organisation, we have a legal obligation. You cannot legally release an invasive animal back into the wild again. So we get 2 choices. One of them is to put them to sleep, and the other is to keep them here so we can offer them a best alternative instead. And I think we can all agree this is a really good alternative. She fits in really, really well. Now while she does appreciate her alone time, she does come in with the herd as well. If they ever have fawns, she'll gather them all up and nanny them as well. So she does a really good job. Now if you see Sappy around today, take a nice polite look at her bum. The best way to tell these guys apart, particularly from a distance, is actually by looking at their tail structures. So you'll see here these girls have got these nice dark tails with the dark bar over the top and the white flags either side. Sappy has got much more of a heart shape behind there. She's got no black, just a nice white patch instead. So see if you can find her. She's a little bit more shy, but see if you can spot her throughout the day. And that's everything from me. Keep an eye out for the red deer that should hopefully be coming up a bit later on. If you guys have got any questions about them, I'd normally kind of go a bit more in depth, unfortunately they're not here. Please feel free. Any questions about a deer or any other animal, please feel free to ask as well. My next talk, or the next talk I should say, is at 3 and that's the Luke's talk, and at 3:30 we have the Wolverine talk as well. Okay? Thank you very much for listening. Please enjoy the rest of your day as well. Thanks guys.
Thank you.